Welcome back, friends. We have part 3 today in our 4-part series on reducing your top 5 expenses as a family. Go back and listen to part 1 and 2 if you missed those. So let's get into day 3 and make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss day 4 next Monday as well. Okay, we are back with part 3, and today's topic, one of the top 5 expenses for majority of families, is childcare costs. So today I have over 20 tips for you on helping to reduce childcare costs. If you have children in daycare or that need care, maybe one or more of these tips can help you save some money. These are in no particular order. You may want to take some notes and jot down any that you have not looked into or taken advantage yet and see if it's something that could work for your family. So let's get into the list. Number 1 is to utilize employer benefits. So you can check with your HR department, especially if you work for a larger company, but even if you have a small or medium-sized employer, see if they have what's called a dependent care flexible spending account. So this is where you can designate money to come out of your paycheck pre-tax, and then once you have paid for your childcare, you reimburse yourself out of your pre-tax money. So in the end, there's a maximum amount per year that you can set aside for this, but so every year it tends to change. But let's say you have $3,000 in dependent care costs. Most families have way more than that in the year. But let's say you set aside $3,000, that is going to come out divided by every paycheck of the year, however many you have, and then it comes out pre-tax. So once you have reimbursed yourself with that money, you have not actually paid any income tax on that $3,000 when the year is over. So it's a way to save tax money on your childcare expenses. So look and see if that is available to you through your employer. Number 2 is to see if you can utilize any tax credits. There's child tax care credits, dependent care credits. So a lot of families qualify for these automatically. So make sure you are at least checking with a CPA or an accountant or in your tax software. A lot of times they will have explanations so you can determine if you qualify to utilize that credit or not. And that is a credit on what taxes you would have owed. You owe less per child that qualifies. Number 3 is to see if you have a cooperative childcare organization in your area. So a childcare co-op, this is where parents take turns watching each other's kids. A lot of times these are already established. But you could also look into starting one. Go into moms groups and see if anybody is interested in setting one up with you. Get 4 or 5 families and you can take turn watching each other's kids, especially if all of you have a different kind of flexible schedule where you can find somebody for each day of the week that has that day off. And then your kids are still all in the childcare together with the same kids, but you just rotate house depending on the day of the week. Number 4 is to nanny share. So obviously nannies can be really expensive. They may be still less expensive than putting multiple kids in a child care facility if you have several kids. So look into a nanny, but nanny sharing is where you split the cost of a nanny with another family. So whether it's at your home or the other family's home or the nanny's home, if you share with another family, maybe you only have 1 or 2 kids and they have 1 or 2 kids and that nanny is looking to take care of 3 or 4, you can nanny share. You split the costs of that full-time nanny. Number 5 is to see if you could have a flexible work arrangement. So this can be seeing if you could do some kind of remote work or at least hybrid work so that part of your time can be worked at home so that you can be home with your kids. And another option is looking for a different position like food delivery or anything that would allow your kids to be with you. Number 6 is to look into any kind of family support. If you have anyone in your family that's willing to help out, even if it's certain days of the week, maybe you have a mom or a dad or a sibling or even an adult child who's willing to watch your kids 1 day of the week or 2 or evenings, and you can get a job that is now working in the evenings when they are able to care for your children. A lot of times family members are willing to help out for less money, sometimes no cost at all, but less money than a child care facility is still some savings. The next one is to look into local community programs. So there are organizations in a lot of areas that subsidize childcare. So sometimes these are after school programs, sometimes these are full daycare, all day preschools, or even childcare from infant up. YMCA is an example of that. In some areas, they have locations that are full-time childcare facilities and they're subsidized. So based on your income, some of the cost could be saved for you depending on your income. The next one is to look into before and after school programs. So sometimes, especially through your county or city, check with your school, your kids' school, and see if that is something that they offer. And sometimes a couple different elementary schools may combine and it's at a different location and they will bus your kids over to their school before or after, depending on which school they attend. So this is great for school-age children where you just need a little bit beforehand or after school to extend your daycare hours. If you work later than they get out of school, sometimes those extra couple hours, they can be cared for in a fun environment at their school with a bunch of other kids that they know. My kids did that for many, many years and they loved the program at their school. The next one is to look into sliding scale daycares. Some of them will provide a sliding scale fee based on your income. So just ask around and see if that's something that they offer. You can also check with any moms groups to see if they're aware of any, because a lot of times it may not be advertised. So ask around people that you know or in moms groups to find out any that may be offering a sliding scale fee. The next one is a parenting exchange. So it's kind of like the co-op, but this is just for more babysitting. You can do babysitting swaps with other parents. So each family takes turns watching another one for like a date night. A lot of times this can be great with friends who have kids the same ages. You're just trading off so everybody gets a date night without having to pay for expensive babysitting on top of their date. The next one is to look into part-time care. So take a look at your schedule, your position. Is there anything you can do to shift your shifts around? And maybe you would only need part-time care. So a lot of times organizations that offer part-time care may do like 2 days a week instead of 5, and it's at a reduced rate. Not all facilities will offer this, so ask around for those that do. The next one is to research government assistance programs in your area. So there may be some subsidy programs that help provide some financial support for families that are lower income. So just see if that's something available in your area. Your SNAP organization or DHS organizations may have more information on that. Another one very similar is called childcare vouchers. So you can look into if your local city or county governments or any community organizations offer childcare voucher programs that may get you some free childcare throughout the year. The next one is bundle service. So this is, of course, if you have more than one child, ask the providers that your first child goes to when you are now adding a second one if they offer discounts for siblings. So a lot of times when you have more than one child, you get a certain percentage off the second child and so on. The next tip is to look at local in-home daycares rather than like larger corporate type daycares. So any of them that are larger, well-known, have a lot of different locations, typically are going to cost more than somebody who is just running a smaller daycare in their home. The next one is to look in to see if your work schedule could be shifted around a little bit based on your childcare provider's less expensive time slots. A lot of in-home childcare providers have different fees if you need evening time or nighttime even. Sometimes nighttime is less expensive because everybody's just sleeping for the most part. So ask if your provider has less expensive time slots and see if your work could be done during the times where their childcare costs less. The next one is just community networking. This is looking in your local parenting groups, getting to know the in-home daycare options that you have. Ask around, who do they know that is more affordable and takes great care of their kids? Referrals can mean a lot. The next one is to look at seeing if in-home childcare in your home would cost less. Sometimes this could be you just need a babysitter for a few hours versus taking them to a part-time daycare facility. Getting somebody to come over for a few hours is more of a babysitting rate, and you may save a lot of money doing that. The next tip is to review your childcare expenses regularly. Don't be afraid to negotiate rates if you are coming up on like a year anniversary, and don't be afraid to change providers if you need to. Yes, you want to consider the needs of your kids, but if you feel like your kids would do well switching and you can save money, that can be a great option as well. The next one is to look into your current provider and see if they have any kind of a referral program, or even just ask if they don't have one set up, ask if they have any open spots. And if you found somebody that you could refer to them, would they offer a discount on the next month's bill? It can be a win-win because you are helping them fill empty spots sooner than they may have been able to, and you are saving a little bit of money. The next tip is just do a little math. See if you switching to part-time and cutting out the need for some of the childcare, and see if that's more cost effective. Sometimes having multiple kids in childcare actually costs quite a bit of money. So if you went to part-time and then added on a side hustle that you could do around your kids or a partner's schedule, could save you a lot of money. And then the last tip I have for you today is to look into if opening a daycare in your own home may be cost effective and something that you'd be interested in if you happen to be looking for a career change or you don't love your job. There is such a need for quality in-home care that you may love opening a daycare. You get to keep your kids at home with you, and you earn some money having other people bring their kids to your home. So I hope that one or more of these tips can help you just relieve some of your childcare financial burden. It can be such a huge expense for families. That's why it is consistently in the top 5 of expenses for most families. Of course, not families who with older children, but any family with younger children knows the cost of childcare. It is extremely expensive. So I hope this helped you. If you have any tips that I missed, anything that has worked well for you, please share them because we all can greatly benefit when you share. All right, that's it for today. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet for next week's part 4 in our series. And I'll talk with you in a few days with the best items to buy in March because they are the lowest prices all year. So I'll talk to you then. Blessings to your family.